South Africa has been famous since ancient times. It's one of the worst schools in the world. As in recent times, this name is even more popular. Just a few more lives. The position of the first sword. It won't be far away. The green symbol of this place is visible. More. The West is a land greatly influenced by the South. That's why it was suggested by a senior of the Southern tribe. Battalion owners have no reason to refuse. The public glanced back. Of course, to perform the sacred ritual, they will ask for a lot of gold and silver. He knows what's going on over there. His fists are trembling. You're not sorry for the money. If I could save my father. Even if he is a bankrupt, he is content. But if these guys are really confident, he saved his father. They shouldn't have saved him first. Then apply for a reply later, or SAO. It's also for that reason. But Mung Song's attitude is so hateful. He kept grumbling that the patient's situation is like this. It can't be cured or treated normally. There was a loud call from the outside and startled them. General Ra asked what happened. A man in the city announced, "Someone from Hoa Sun wants to enter the ant bridge. He's amazing." As far as he could remember, this was the last letter sent. But considering the time, it just arrived. But they haven't sent anyone here yet. Frowning ass said Hoa Sun hooked that tongue. He's grumpy. Where is this place? He put his hand on his shoulder and said, "This is just wasting your time." He said more. What do painters know? The healing of the Lord. You don't have to meet that kind of person. The light flashed, he replied. They are the ones who have received my call. Is it unethical to send it away now? After listening to the silent pulse of his ass, he relaxed. The servant quickly arrived at the entrance. He said that he will directly welcome Hoa Sun's people. The man opened the door. The door is opened. The man quickly bowed his face. Hold hands and say sorry for 7 days. Dual gender Thieu herself. He's sorry he didn't. To teach the subordinates carefully to expect. I can see the shoes. It doesn't matter what the enemy says. And I didn't come to be treated. So it doesn't matter. He was amazed to see the body of his baby leg. It must be a child's foot. His eyes stepped up in wonder. Middle ass standing like a market boy. Pursed lips. They see that they look stiff. He asked where everyone was with him. He said he was working alone. Optical steam spray. Smiling ass, hands out. I came here alone. I know how to cure the king. Lead the way. The light is bewildered. I can't do business yet. He asked to see the prize. With a face full of intrigue. Now he's completely sprayed. The air is now silent. What's the matter with this kid? Fire Officer Kwong. The middle buttocks hold the earwax and tickle it laughing. Lost all humanity and the face of the painted flower. Battalion master face dumbed out look, but still respectfully asked, "Go down alone." That's right, this innocent voice. Maybe it could be a lie. But he couldn't have expected it in his eyes. I thought the neighborhood kids were messing around. Really is going alone SAO. Really, I replied. The bewildered slave, look at the owner. It also signals that you don't know anything. The atmosphere is really strange. Is it time to kick it out or put it in? Is it playing on other people's pain? Huh. Look at this kid who thinks he's squeezing his nose. He came here for treatment. Hoa's son is disregarding the trade union grace. If not, why? The owner of the battalion expects a revival. The old man is wild. Suddenly, there was a grin in Chen's face. Ha ha ha. The boss is really not doing anything. That's really the voice, stabbed by Kamong's son's bare grain. He came closer and mocked. I told you. You don't need to see the paint guy. The paint is shameless. How could you send a child like this? Lu's face too. I've been listening too. The head of the painting is a gentleman. You can be so cowardly, haha. The Middle East finally understood. The young Ra will be despised like this. To practice the legal profession of saving people is ridiculed. We really need to be treated. You broke your wrist. I bow to everyone in a polite manner. I am the third-generation disciple of Hua Sect. Middle but name. Hoa's son received the letter that the battalion owner sent. I know a little about the symptoms that the battalion master described in the letter, so I risked coming here. When he heard this, he was immediately startled about the person standing in front of you. What is your home? I can tell you about my father's illness. Sao. He was the first to say these words to me. Battalion owner trembling hands 7 Lu, eat a lot. Up to this point, there's been a lot of doctors and martial artists here. But no one dared to give an opinion about my father's illness, even if we haven't met in person. And this guy, what is this? Not in time to return. Kim's butt gets in the story. You show contempt. At a young age, you already know your mouth. He looks like he's getting old. To rape such a young man. Battalion master, you don't have to spend a lot of time with this kid. Let's go in. Being here is a waste of your time. But that, he's listening to what the Central Committee is about to say. Look at the situation like this. You must have been irritated by Kier's sarcasm. Who's that ass over there? Why have you been so mean to people? They all seem stunned when a child speaks like that. Are you talking to me? My ass says as usual. There is no one here who is mean to me other than you. Kim butt, pulsing rough. I knew you were just a servant. Hoa Sun School. There is no reason not to know the costumes of the southern tribe. I heard him chatter, and now I say his name. A, you are a man of the south. What do you say? Your teacher is so confident. I thought you were a doctor. So that's your clan. There is a cure for the wildlings. The same fatal question, the attitude of this unclean-nosed boy, makes him just shut up. He can't answer. He pulled out cheap arguments to cover the holy eye. The reason is because of the wrong way. Should have been infected. So the only cure, you have to make heaven angry. For the first time, there was a cure for this disease. Someone like Middle Butt must be quite surprised. Oh, there's this too. Then call the priest. What else? That's their specialty. When I heard that, Kim panicked. It doesn't have to be that way. The Lord sent us here as well. The buttocks are so itchy that they block the throat. The man or Hoa Sun, who doesn't know that CA. Let the gods and the gods do it. Worship anyway. Why not choose family? Cheap high quality, is it better? It's not. Such persuasive words are to be believed. The owner of the battalion was also injured. You bastard, you dare to mess with an adult like that. That's what your teacher taught you. Kim's ass is crazy. It seems like there is no contradiction. What are you doing? You sound so scared. This made the anger in him explode. My teeth are gnashing and my jaws want to rush in and pull out my tongue. Son of a bitch. Battalion master, look at this scoundrel. Get rid of this kid right now. It is true that the unscrupulous force is so trusting. The owner of the battalion just sighed. Think about what the Middle East just said. Senior, this place is a trade union, not the South. The reception of guests to the trade union. I am the one who decides here. Say this, then the silent man is the chief of the southern sect. I said, the battalion leader turned to ask Han Trungbut. Chief, I want to ask you a few questions. You said you diagnosed my father's disease. Can we hear about that diagnosis? Middle buttocks explained the argument clearly. I heard that. Before, the Lord is very good at going to the mountains. It is true that the owner does not deny it. That was before I got sick, sure. He visited 100,000 Dashin at the top. That's right. The frightened face of the battalion master, after listening. I have answered all. Sure is. It's not. My ass suddenly feels so blue. Who says the skin is too thin? He was surprised to ask why it was like that. So he must be. They have been attacked by the enemy. That's right, but the battalion continues to deny it. It's not. In the last 5 years, my father was never attacked. Panic in the Middle offers a bunch of options. In fact, there's no reason why it shouldn't be. So where did you eat onions after all? It seems like even his last slim hope. You are also completely gone. Ha 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 ha, the scornful laughter echoed again. This time, the head of the southern tribe laughed. Like the season. I told you not to waste time. Paint flower, it's such a discredited sect. Just looking at this situation is enough to know. This kid's got the wrong diagnosis. Then came. The owner is silent right now. There's no more. Your voice is like telling your ass to give up. Chief. I hope you will understand my position. I understand your ambition. But my father's illness. It could be worse. If you can meet everyone, it will. You go home. Please tell the master that I am very grateful. The door of opportunity closes in front of you. How could we let it end like this? Of course, the middle butt can't bring this shame. Go back to Hoa-san. If not, I can't go back to the 4 of you. He blocked the door that was closing. You suddenly spoke. Body turned purple, body cold. I don't understand why. Just 2 words that stunned the battalion leader. If you press it with your hand, it will turn white. Then quickly burgundy back again. Before falling into a state of unconsciousness, he was freezing, like he had a cold. It's not just between the eyebrows. The back of the neck and the top of the head also appear black spots. Exotic. Suddenly, the battalion grabbed 2 doors. He hurriedly shouted at his face. How did you know that? Even the door is turned on. The buttocks thought he still had some doubts. Then ask again so I can say more. But he bowed down to his knees. Please come inside. I will lead the way directly. The needle immediately stops when it sees that. Battalion Master, you put this kid inside. He just listed the symptoms. Anyone who gets hit by the air gets hit. That? You know what's weird about that? The owner of the battalion this time seems to have no respect. His bad mouth is going too far. You mean those who hit the air? AI also appears dark spots on the back of the neck and the top of the head. Why do you know that? How to come now? I still can't cure my father. He must be a useless man like him. We just have to keep our mouths shut. Once again, I warn you. This is the business of the mercantile. Don't interfere anymore. If you are deliberately interfering, we'll make a formal appeal to the southern tribe. There's nothing this fake head can do. My ass is watching a good play. So the old man took pride in himself and left without a word. Finally, after much debate, the middle buttocks were also taken to the sick room. Go where you don't hesitate. That's the entire thermal blanket of Ra. That examine. It's obviously very bad in terms of body condition. It's like a vegetable torturing his body. You feel this condition. It's much more serious than you imagine. Looks like he's actually got a ghost. But this kind of ghost is not the real ghost. If he's really caught the magic of a master. With this age, he couldn't take more than a year. The police only searched the old man's veins. Before. Venous sensation, every beat, it's all understood in one note. Not expect the oxygen of the Middle East was briefly entered, every blood vessel of the Lord. It seems to push all the dark blood out. I saw you holding the old man's hand for a while, without any movement. The battalion leader was anxious to ask seriously, right? He let go. The old man replied. It's not that the treatment isn't difficult. The answer was as expected of the commander. He also sighed. I know it's hard. No, not everyone else. Wrong. What did you just say? His face right now. It's no different than a ghost fire. Let me repeat, I said it was easy. We've dealt with it before. He can't die worrying. At the same time, there are signs of awakening. The face is also much more comfortable. This is really heaven and earth. Battalion Master trembling limb 7. I dare not touch the body. Lying in bed. My ass told me more. If you want a cure, you need more time. You also need to prepare a few things. From the leader, he can no longer stand. Stuttering around asking you what you need to prepare. Think for a moment. You told me what to prepare. I have to have breakfast first. Of course, there is a new religion. That's why we're in the business community. It's all for you. Soon enough, we had all the food in the house. Like St. John. The Chinese feel that they can still consume more. Eat this one thing after another. How many niches are there? I can wait. The battalion owner is anxious to ask you. This chief. What do we need to prepare? Turns out, you haven't told Ra what to ask for. Just face to eat. Forever later, my ass just swallowed one to say it. This treatment requires a lot of physical strength, so we have to eat well. I'm sure your chef cooks really well. More than in Hoa-san. The owner looks at you with suspicious eyes. Is he trustworthy or not? Think back to the scene. It's impossible not to believe. Knowing the mind is like sitting on the fire pan of the master. I've decided to put my dining career behind me. To reveal something. It's really important now. It's not a cure. But what's important here is that the SAO orders you to fall ill. That's why I want to ask you a few questions. The person closest to God's command is AI. All the people around you, from eating and sleeping, to protect the Lord to the upper heaven. If I knew that, we can narrow down the scope of our suspicions. Except for Mr. Ra. The owner of the battalion is a little surprised the closest SAO. Why did you ask him what he did? Well, you can watch, as if it's necessary for the cure. I have to answer to find out. The battalion thought for a long time. If it wasn't for him, Ra, there wouldn't be anyone. I don't know. There are too many people supporting my father. But the number of people in accordance with the standard described by the principal, I think there are 5 of them. 5 people, eh? My ass is spinning and digesting data. This seems hard to find. The stomach is done. You have to solve the story for 5 people. Your boss doesn't understand your intentions. What is the mayor looking for? The buttocks looked at him with a suspicious expression. I don't know if it's real or fake. Ask all the things. Oh my God, Earth. You asked because you didn't really know. I know the state of the wilderness. I'm sure he wasn't harmed by outsiders. It means that inside you, there are people playing games. Battalion owner heard here. Suddenly, he banged on the table and chair. Be careful what you say, Chief. All members of the Mercantile Society. It's like blood. All this they have dedicated to the Mercantile. I also have great respect for my father. Why is the Chinese voice so harsh? I'm just suspicious. No, the better, right? The owner of the battalion heard that. I assume you're right. Don't worry, it's obvious. According to what the middle butt considers. Look at the old man's condition, then sure, he's been repeatedly infected with demonic gas by someone who's not good at magic. It didn't matter at first. But over time, the situation will get worse. Looks like we need to investigate more than usual. These amateurs are good at hiding. Battalion owners only ask one thing. How are the investigation decisions? In the style of the middle buttocks, it seems quite simple. Talk to the battalion owner. In this room, this is the investigation. The owner of the battalion just needs to observe quietly. There will be fun to watch. Hey, you can help me with something. Battalion owners are very willing to hear that. I'll do my best to be safe. Suddenly, he brandished the wine jug in front of him. It's a very strange idea. Give me another bottle of Thai wine. Other side, the middle buttons are eating and drinking in the company of grace. Some people can't swallow a piece of rice. Simply because a kid stuck his nose out. It's better to choke to death if you get in the way. Why is a kid painted? Dare the main road. Go to the west like that. And that boy is too similar to that dead guy. The name I just want to hate. Manhwa swordsmanship. Nerd. I have seen since Master returned from the company. It's always spicy. Bai Kim is the 2nd-generation disciple of the Southern Sect. I asked him what the future is. But AI suspects not only does not answer, I just heard the name. As songs ask, it's crazier and crazier. to earn that beep. How do you can attach such a noble word in the name of that lying kid? And seeing that, the white man only sighed. Basically, he doesn't understand. Every time I mention the name of the mountain, is that he's become so sensitive again. The sword has been dead for 100 years. But until now, people still praise and worship him. Must have been extremely generous and talented. You don't know what else to do. I told my teacher not to do so much every time. But he just glared and asked the opposite. About that crazy kid. I will cure Lord Kwong. It's in the village below. There's a lot of talk. Ricky finds it a little ridiculous. Will that kid really make it, or what? And even his master recognized it. I heard that there has been progress. He was stunned. It turned out that it was for this reason that master was like that. The thought of that made AI jealous as well. Who does not know that Lord Kwong is the one who disagrees? I am sure you will pay double 10 times as much. If that child, we can treat him successfully. I'm sure he'll give it his all. To lift Hoa Sun back to its peak. So now the male is sitting still like this. Is not being carried by SAO enemies. The teacher also understands the mind of the teacher. We've got to stop that from happening. And then he spoke to the elder. If the master feels that the boy is an eyesore, we'll let him carry his backpack right away. If you show up directly, even SAO is not very good. We are your good disciples. Just give it to us. It's not simple. He was only the second disciple of Nam. Let's fight with the third generation disciple of Hoa Sun. The game is easy. My ass thought for a while. But he still talks a lot. Then, it's not that we're going to bully children. Or SAO, as the white paper argues that AI doesn't know. Nam and Hoa Sun have a long-standing hostile relationship. Yeah. People will understand. It's just a chance encounter, an exchange of swordsmanship. Then I missed the right path a little bit. And it's not going to be any worse. We've got to be more likely to borrow the wind to propel the boat. Well, that's not new. He saw his disciples comforting. It makes the soul weak. His sensitivity is easily shaken. I know what you mean. But there's one thing you have to remember. This is what I say. Whether it is, if you do that, that boy, he is also the third disciple. If you touch that guy too much, will affect the reputation of our tribe Nam. What would the people on the street say when we bully a child? It's from a sect that's about to kill you. Who doubts the reason of ejection heard and confidently laughed. He was in a mystical hurry about to leave. The students understand. Suddenly out of that cute mouth. Again uttered dubious words. But that, for students who miss the hand, you will get the proper punishment, right? Kim said, of course. I will directly punish you. With the person who touched that child. It's too much, but I thought he'd like it. Because if you do well, there's a big reward. But on the outside, the police officer is still very obedient and prepared to put up your sword. Students will remember. In the end, there's only Kim in the room alone. He's thinking about what's coming. You will be humiliated in front of the people. Since the next generation was born, the power of the mountain is no longer the same. The paint I saw as a child It is absolutely not a place. South Korea is easy to touch. If Hoa-san is not involved in the battle with that ghost head. Maybe this time. Nam Tone still has no door that passes through the paint. So he's always on the lookout for fear. It's absolutely impossible to let things go back to that era. Okay? That boy dared to leave Hoa-san to come to this place. This shows that Hoa-san is restarting diplomatic relations with other families. I must crush them. I can't let those fucking painters get back on their feet. Even the old man of Hoa-san. After this is over, maybe we need to have a serious conversation with the chief. In the meantime, I think they just let each other go to the battlefield on the way to pay a boy. Go-hee is still in a semi-conscious state. Just ask your brother. What are you going to do with that boy? But he just sounds so nice. Simply feed it some onions and send it. Just go back to the place of production. But in his heart, he's not interested. Bullying children is not his hobby. But even SAO shouldn't let people see it. Someone like an elder, to oppress a child again. Go-hee wonder. I don't know what the paint thinks. You left him here alone. If it is male, want to go down the mountain, it must be approved by the chief. But they're guessing old and young for a reason. Not all schools have that rule. Here you two feel. It seems that paint management is not very good. New like that? But even though SAO is also a sectarian thing, just do their job well. Don't be curious anymore. Lee Eucalyptus probe. Now, what needs to be done is to focus on what the elders have entrusted. However, when he came here, he broke down. Looks like something in front of you did. He's stupid. Suddenly, Lee showed off a hauntingly smile. It doesn't seem like we need to lose our jobs. Go find that kid again. Predicted after the medical examination is completed. Your ass is free to walk outside, breathe the air, without at least 2 jealous people in the room. It's a whistling gesture like this. I can't believe 2 idiots came to me. All of a sudden, you hear that AI calling you, hi. This guy looks like he's dressed up. Like a fighter of some kind. That's the reason why he threw out his respectful greeting. Very honored when you meet the disciples of Hoa-san in this place. I am the 2nd generation disciple of San Nam Asia. But the middle is not familiar. So just say hello politely. It made him embarrassed. And then he started talking about the 7 days. But can I ask you where you're going? I see that the middle buttocks arrogantly answered to probe me. I'm just looking. Let's see if Lord Kwong has made any progress. Seeing your face makes him a little unhappy. Feel so shameless. It's not clear what was so cocky about. All the famous dads and healers in the world. It can't even be cured. So this kid's got a new disease. That he could spit out fake words. That will cure Lord Cho Kwong. Surely he's a man of no mind. A moment later, he pretended to be friendly. If you don't mind, can you talk to me over there for a moment? And the middle buttocks agree in one note. You asked him what was wrong. But he's just talking nonchalantly. It's nothing special. From ancient times, Nam and Hoa paint often exchange swordsmanship to develop skills. My sect, there is an event at the festival to exchange swordsmanship. I don't know if you've heard of it. Your ass looks exactly as expected. I didn't he know anything because it hadn't he been long. I didn't expect this. Again makes the reason eject feel a lot more pleasure. He wants to drag this chicken into the coop. If the middle butt knows about the Hoa Kai, how dare you stand in front of me like that? That looks really itchy. Look at the festival is starting very busy. It seems like a very interesting place to socialize, forgetting the distance from home. He keeps pining at you. This will be very helpful for training. The painting is there. Do you want to join? The air continues to sink in silence. I really want to see the swords. To look at the ejection physics confidently like this. Because in my heart he is sure that the Middle East will refuse. No matter how stupid, you must feel it too. You are not the enemy of the second generation. Tone male. Unfortunately, this time he was determined. Even if I have to tie you up. All of a sudden, the young man's voice cracked. You're even deliberately being provocative. Like reading his mind. You want to fight? Suddenly, Lee evicted, fell into a state of extreme bewilderment. He was silent and didn't say a word. He was afraid of being raped by children. So try to explain that this isn't a fight. I just mean practice and communication. It's like his ass doesn't shit in his stomach. You even deliberately softened your voice. Yeah, we don't have to fight. It's clear that you want to fight, and you have to keep messing around. If you fight, just fight. But let me remind you, he's got his ears up. To this country, the boy in front of him had to warn him. They won't regret it. Just like that, the challenge is locked in one note. The two brothers are very attached to the ring. It's really a deserted place. There's no festival. On the floor there are only 3 FA stands. Suddenly, he began to ask curiously, what is the opponent's alias? And you also have no alias. My name since I was born is Middle Butt. His face after that was no surprise. It's like starting to say provocative warnings again. Listen, Chief Zhang Butt. This is probably going to be a shock. With a kid like a major. Maybe the chief will think, I did nothing wrong myself. But all the things in the world. It's not going to be decided by right or wrong. I hear it in my ass too. He kept talking. The chief should go back to the mountain. Before things get worse. If you withdraw now. I can't believe a poor guy can say that. Up that sentence so casually. It startled him from beginning to end. The buttocks responded with a series of questions. Even more provocative. You guys only know how to fight with your mouth. It's clear that the first fight is what Sao says. The name Go he heard here, that means Buddha knows blood. That's a bad boy. Don't let someone like Go he do it first. Basically, since then, Lee eject no, I'll have to give this kid a break. He is red. It seems that our practice is still flawed. I can't help but feel. I want to beat the kid in front of me. Then, now the devil in him is screaming. He feels no need to compromise anymore. Right now, right here, let's win. Lee eject, the southern sect Shinya lie with the middle disciple, Hoa Sun. Wait suddenly. The middle buttocks uttered, Butter wake up. It killed his fighting spirit. He was angry and reproached again. I'm not talking about you. I'm just pushing behind you.